Welcome to Real Mammoth, where we talk about real stories and real estate here in Mammoth Lakes, California and the Eastern Sierra. Today I'm here with Shira, the founder and director of the Mammoth Lakes Film Festival, which is coming up on May 22nd through May 26th this year, 2024. But if you're listening to this after this date, is it always held on?
It's always Memorial Day weekend.
Okay, great. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here, Shira.
Thank you for having me.
DuBrovner is her last name. So first, let's kind of start in the beginning. When did you first come to Mammoth? How did you find out about it, and why did you stay?
So I came to Mammoth back in 1996, and I stayed here for 4 years back in, not 96, 86. It was the late 80s to 1990 I lived here. And I lived here because I was into rock climbing. I had a rock climbing boyfriend, and we'd live in Tuolumne Meadows in the summer and Mammoth in the winter and work on the mountain and then get laid off and then have the whole summer off. And that was the lifestyle, very popular back then. Then I left in 1990. I stayed in LA. I went to film school. I lived there for 17 years. And after 17 years, I started feeling, I wanted to be part of a smaller community and feel like I was really contributing to something. You get really lost in LA. And I remembered I wanted to always come back to Mammoth. And so in 2007, I packed up my bags and moved to Mammoth Lakes. And I've been here ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. And so where did you first move to when you were in Mammoth?
Well, I came and I actually lived in a condo, right at Mountain Shadows condos. Yeah. And I rented that from somebody who owned it and was renting it out, on a month-to-month basis until I could find something a little bit more like permanent. And so then I found a home. I had dogs and cats and a nephew, and so I needed a bigger place. And I found a bigger place on Joaquin and Dorrance, right in the heart of town. And then I moved right around the corner from that to Dorrance and Lupin. And then we had my boyfriend works in construction and works in June Lake and Lee Vining, which is pretty close to Mammoth. And one of his friends told him about a short sale that was happening in Mono City. And it was literally $115,000. Now, granted, this was 13 years ago, but still. And we pretty much put the house on my credit card, the down payment, and we bought it. And actually, we were spending a little bit more in rent when we were living in Mammoth. And so we kind of weighed the options of having a lower mortgage. We're buying something, and we are spending more in gas. But, when you're living in LA, you're doing 40-minute commutes all the time. So it's really not a big deal. The drive is beautiful. You're, driving by June Lake, and you're going, by the entrance to Yosemite. And so we decided to buy it, and was probably the best decision because, real estate is hard on people like me. I'm working the arts, and I'm not crazy rich, and it's affordable to live in these outlying communities of Mammoth for people like me. So I'm actually happy that I did it and really glad.
Me too. Yeah, and you secured your place here in the Eastern Sierra. I'm kind of curious, going back to when you were kind of living place to place in Mammoth, was it hard to find a place back in the 90s?
It is. I mean, I think it's always been. Every place that I've always found, I've kind of found through word of mouth. You really have to get involved in the community and look at different ways of finding places to live. It is hard, and the town is trying to rectify that situation by getting all this affordable housing going and more places. But I think most of the places I did find by just talking to people. And I think that's really true in life. You want to find a job, you talk to people. You want to find a boyfriend, you talk to people. You tell them, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a boyfriend, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. And that's really how you achieve a lot of things in life. And I just kind of spread the word. I was always driving around looking for places. And I think one of the places I saw somebody moving out. And so I asked who was the owner, and I contacted them and got the place. And another time a friend, turned me on to a place that was looking for people to rent. So, I mean, it depends on how aggressive you are, and if you're going to, lie back and just expect to find a place in the newspaper, although that is a place that you look, you can't just do that. You have to have all these tentacles out looking for a place for yourself.
That's true. I remember a few times when Grace or even myself, we were kind of looking for a place. There were times where it's like, oh, what do we do? We're about to get kicked out. And we found it possible through the grapevine, right? Just asking contacts, and it's like, and then it would happen, right? It was kind of crazy, and then it kind of came to the conclusion where it's like, oh yeah, like you said, if you want anything, you just gotta look for it and persevere.
Yeah, well, it's that whole 6 degrees of separation. I mean, everybody says, you're 6 degrees from meeting Steven Spielberg or knowing him. I mean, it's really true, because like somebody will know somebody that is looking to rent their house out, or to, sell their house in a quick sale, or anything like that. I mean, you just have to put the word out. And I think people kind of have this entitlement, like, well, people should come to me and let me know, but you have to like take that first step.
Speaking of Spielberg, let's talk about the Mammoth Lakes Film Festival. Can you tell us how that came to be?
Sure. I was in film school in LA, and I also worked in theater. I did both. I worked in TV shows. I did small professional theater in LA. And when I decided to get out of LA, I was doing well in my career, but I just wasn't happy, because you kind of feel lost when you're in this big city. And so I wanted to be part of a community, a smaller community, and I decided to come back to Mammoth and start a theater company. And so I did that in 2007, and after a couple years, I was starting to miss being part of independent film. And so I thought, I think I want to try and get a film festival going. So I called a friend of mine from film school, who was programming for Slam Dance, which is kind of the alternate of Sundance that happens at the same time of year. And they've really gone up in the rankings in film festival world. And so I called him up and I said, why don't you come up here and see what you think about doing a film festival up here with me? And he's like, well, this is a really cool town. It's got its own vibe, its own kind of look. And he said, yeah, let's try it. And so in 2015, we went ahead and started the first film festival. And it's kind of grown every year, and now we're in our 10th year. We're very well respected. Because I have this programmer, he is he discovered Lena Dunham when Sundance turned her down for her short film. He's discovered a lot of really famous filmmakers that got turned down because they're at the beginning of their career. Their work is really raw, but you can still see the talent. And he's really good at looking beneath the look of it and seeing where the talent is. And so that's really propelled us just out of the gate. Like, we've been on the top 50 film festivals worth the entry fee by Movie Maker magazine since after our second year, and it's been continuous every year. So we're doing pretty good in that respect. I mean, times have been hard. Don't get me wrong. Like, we're on this trajectory, and then COVID hit, and we went spiraling down like everyone else. But the fact that we're still here, I think, is a testament to the kind of film festival we are, and I think it also brings up the value of the community. I think a lot of people don't realize when you have events like this, like a film festival, it brings the cachet of the community up. Like Aspen has a film festival. Even Breckenridge has a film festival. Also, obviously, Sundance in Park City. And it just brings a whole new market to the community that a lot of people wouldn't have otherwise. A lot of people are just coming for the film festival, or not coming to ski and then going to see a film at the film festival. They're all coming for the festival, and some of them might ski. So it's kind of introducing the area to this whole new market.
That sounds awesome. And so why is Mammoth Lakes such a good spot? And I guess you mentioned all these other kind of, I suppose, resort towns.
Yeah.
Why are these places a good place for a film festival?
Well, what I love about we bring a lot of filmmakers from all around the world. We're kind of a global festival that a lot of the filmmakers know about us globally. So we have filmmakers coming from Spain, from Germany, Italy, England. There's a few more places that I can't really think of right now, but they come from all over the world, all over the United States. And once they get here, because of the area and because of where they are, all their stresses and everybody's inhibitions kind of just go away, and they're just really here for the art's sake. And I feel it brings people back to their roots of their own humanness. And so we're really down to earth. We don't do red carpet events. I have this producer. He's the producer for Clint Eastwood for the last 25 years. He's produced all his films. He's going to be on our jury, and he's like, "What's the dress code?" And I said, "Well, it's mountain casual." No, I said, I've interviewed so many people, like an Academy Award winning actress at my festival, and she was wearing slippers. So it's really down to earth, and we can just get to the root of everything. It's not about how you look or impressing people. It's about being a human being and connecting with other human beings. And so I think that this area is very conducive to that. And so it really supports what I want to do with the film festival. I want to create a platform for people to be inspired, for people to make connections. And you're in this beautiful environment where it just kind of helps that along.
It seems like, you got people, like you said, coming in from all over the world. And from your experience, what has like some of these people have told you when they came? Like, oh, it's actually really beautiful. We love it. I feel blank. What have people told you?
So a lot of the people are blown away when they get here. They get, when we used to have a air flight coming in Memorial Day weekend, right now they stop it at Easter. But when we were doing the festival and the air flights were still happening, people were getting off the airplane and just looking around and being blown away. And then they come in, they're meeting other really cool filmmakers. They're going on hikes. They're watching films all day. We're having parties. We kind of make them feel like a local. So we do a late night happy hour at Distant Brewing, which starts at 10 p.m. and goes until they close. Then we do a filmmakers bash on Saturday night, and we have karaoke. And then we do the opening night parties and the closing night parties. And like I said, everybody's really down to earth. Nobody's there to impress. Everyone's just talking about their films, and they're all, like I said, really blown away at the beauty of the area. And a lot of people have come back to either make films or come back to just take a vacation. They really fall in love with the area and also the people that they meet here. They because I don't bring snobby, Hollywood types, they really kind of integrate with the locals really, really well.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of, like, I guess, snobby Hollywood types, what has, like, who has
no
been...
offense to Hollywood snobby types.
Sorry, Vin Diesel. What has been, or who has been the most famous person to have come to Mammoth Lakes?
So we had, right before COVID, we had a bunch of the Groundlings. And the Groundlings have put out, I don't know if you know Julia Sweeney, who was on Saturday Night Live, and Sherry O'Terry was on Saturday Night Live. And then also Mindy Sterling, or is it I think it's Sperling, I'm sorry. She was in all the Austin Powers movies as that crazy German lady. And then I've brought in Melissa Leo, who is an Academy Award winning actress. She was the mother in The Fighter, the one with Mark Wahlberg and Christian Bale. I've brought in Joe Dante, who is the director of, he did Gremlins and also Inner Space, a lot of older movies. We try to bring people in that can kind of have an experience on the more independent or artistic side of the industry and give advice to the filmmakers. We do a panel on Saturday morning with all our jury members. So like on our jury, I have the Academy Award-winning producer. I have an Academy-nominated writer. I have other producers and filmmakers and directors and sometimes also some media people. Like usually we'll have somebody from Variety or industry periodicals that come out and cover the film, and you serve on our juries. And they usually do a panel on Saturday morning to give their advice. So we don't really bring out stars that people are like, oh my gosh, I had, we'll never have, I don't know, Brad Pitt at our festival, because it's not really about that. It's about the filmmaking and it's about the filmmakers. So they want to hear about how they get their career started, how they sell their film. And so we try to bring people in that will help them achieve that and give them advice, and they can make connections. And I mean, the Academy Award nominated writer was an alum of our festival from 2017 and 18, and we had his shorts here, and his shorts didn't play a lot because they weren't really the commercial type of short films, that they didn't fit into the little box that a lot of festivals will play these shorts. One of them was a really long short, but it was very hysterical. It was so well written. It was so funny, and you could see his humor is really different and dry and sarcastic. And then his other film, same thing. And we played it, and now he's 5 years later, he's an Academy-nominated writer, and he's doing his first feature. So, I mean, he wrote May, December with his writing partner, and it got nominated for an Academy Award.
Wow.
Go figure.
That's so cool. And so, yeah, speaking of maybe movie titles, what are people who've participated in the festival, what are some of the biggest titles that have came for them?
So what we do at our festivals, we bring in some festival favorites, some that have played some bigger festivals, and then we also have new discoveries. So one of the biggest films that actually has a lot of spread, I don't know if any of you or you have seen Abducted in Plain Sight, but that is the most watched true crime film on Netflix in 2018. And it is a crazy, crazy film. Everybody should see it. It's unbelievable. But nobody would touch that film, and it because of the topic. It's kind of about this Mormon family that has this crazy Mormon neighbor who totally falls in love with their 10-year-old daughter and wants to take her off, and of course, and then the parents let him, and it's just a crazy documentary, and nobody would touch that film, and we of course showed it, and it was pretty controversial. And then it won an award at our festival, and then it went to play other awards, and then it went to play other festivals, and then it got onto Netflix, and everybody has been watching it since then. We've played a lot of really high-end documentaries. We always have a documentary that goes on to the Academy Awards. Last year we had this film called To Kill a Tiger. That's a documentary, and that got nominated this year for an Academy Award. The year before we showed Fire of Love, and a couple other films got nominated. We always have something that's that high end. And then, like I said, we have the discoveries. We showed a film with Robert Patterson and Mia. I can't say her it's like a Polish last name. Mm-hmm. I can't remember how to say it, but we showed their film. And what else did we show that's like gone on? I mean, every year there's, these are independent films, and they are like art for art's sake film. We show experimental films also that they probably won't go anywhere because the only place for them to be seen is a film festival, because there's no commercial outlet for experimental films. So we do show like this kind of, we'll get films from Berlin or from Sundance or some really, top-notch festivals, and then sometimes we're the West Coast premiere of it. Like our opening night film is called Never Look Away. It's actually it's directed by Lucy Lawless. I don't know if you remember Xena, the Princess Warrior. But she has her first directorial debut, and this film has so much buzz. It played Sundance. We're doing the West Coast premiere of it. And it's definitely going to go places. I think if anything, that and our closing night film will probably get nominated for Academy Awards. And then the other films are just amazing, amazing documentaries, some really talented narrative features, and our shorts are always very off the hook. I mean, they're very wild and nothing like you've ever seen. Okay. Definitely.
And so, if I'm coming as a guest and I know nothing about movies, but maybe I want to participate and just watch them, what do I have to do?
So you'd go to our website, of course, Mammoth Lakes filmfestival.com, and you can either get a pass, you can get individual tickets, you can look at all the films on the site and see what kind of floats your boat, and you can get the individual tickets if you like, to the ones that you appeal to you. Just know that, like I said, our films are not for the faint of heart, so don't go expecting to see, When Harry Met Sally. You're going to see stuff that pushes the limits, that are very edgy, and especially, like I said, our documentaries do really well. People love, love, love the documentaries. So I always try to get people started on the documentaries, and then try and, get them to see some. We do have one experimental film. It's like a cult kind of fantasy film. And, but yeah, I think, they should definitely come out. They'll meet a lot of filmmakers. We play 100 films, and we have about 10 of those are screenwriters, and we have, out of the 90 films, we have about 60 of the films coming to the festival. So we'll be doing Q&As after the screenings, and you can meet all the filmmakers. It's such a down-to-earth, and it's not like, like in Sundance, you can never meet the people. At our festival, you're always around them. Everyone's approachable, and it's just a great experience.
That sounds really nice, and just the kind of the personal effect, and when you can ask somebody about their film and maybe how they did it, and maybe some undertones. That's always the thing with me. I love horror movies, but when they end, I never fully understand everything that went on, half of them. And so I always end up going to YouTube, and I'm like, this movie ending explained. And so it seems like it would be good for those people who are more curious about the kind of undertone.
Yeah, I think that those are the types of films that we play a lot. A lot of them are not so easy to understand. Sometimes I see the films that my programmer has chosen, and I think to myself, I have no idea what that was about, but I really appreciate the artistic value of it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's kind of like modern art. You know, sometimes you're like, what is that? But I can see the artistic integrity in it.
Yeah, right. There's all these interpretations, and even sometimes the directors are like, it's whatever you want, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's the, if it's a really good director, that's the attitude they will have. Like cool. Lucy actually said that in an interview, actually in The Sheet that's coming out on Friday, that, you know, it's her job as a director, even as a first-time director, that she was so in tune to this, that she just needs to present the information, and it's up to the viewer to have their own conclusion. And her film is kind of, you know, some people are going to like it, some people aren't. It's about this crazy punk rock and roll woman that was a CNN journalistic photographer back in the 80s and 90s. And she was like in the front lines during wars and not putting her camera down. And that's why it's called Never Look Away. And it's a really crazy, crazy documentary. I think everybody should go see it.
Is it kind of gory?
No, it's not gory. I mean, it's documentary, so they have all the film footage of her when she was, and explaining her life and interviews with the people that she affected. I mean, she was definitely not, she was a flawed character for sure, but she was crazy. And I think, you know, sometimes the crazy ones are the ones that are interesting to watch.
Yeah, that's true. Do you have a vision for the Mammoth Lakes Film Festival in the, 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think that I was thinking about that, just the other day about, what we're doing, because it's been a struggle the last 4 years to stay afloat. And I really love creating a platform and an environment for artists to meet other artists, to be inspired by other artists, make collaborations to propel their careers, and just create a really safe and inviting and encouraging experience for them. So with, the environment that we live in, that's already like a given. And then we kind of add to it by having this setup of, we have nightly parties every night. And like I said, everybody's so approachable and wants to be here, and they kind of let go of their inhibitions and their airs, when they're coming from LA. And they're just here to support independent film. And so I think I've been able to achieve that. Both my programmer and I are very involved in the filmmakers. My programmer starts by calling them on a phone call to invite them and tell them what he loved about their work. And I don't think any other film festival actually even does that, where he calls every filmmaker. And then I call them after that to find out if they're coming to the festival. We really want to encourage them to come. And so they've already got to meet the two head people at the festival, and that never happens at film festivals. And then when we come, we try to meet everybody personally and introduce them to other filmmakers, and just make sure that it's kind of like we're a host of a party. And I'm the Jewish mother, and then my partner's the old queen that from LA that loves all the filmmakers. And I shouldn't have said old; he'll kill me. But we're not young anymore. But we really just love to take care of people, and so it creates this really warm, comforting feeling, and everyone just gets into it. And a lot of filmmakers have told me this is their best experience on the film festival circuit.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, yeah, that sounds awesome. If I were to get just a ticket for the whole few days, so I show up, watch a movie, it ends, you have a break. How does that work for someone who's never been? So we have passes. You can either get a VIP pass and go to all the screenings you want to, and all the parties. And all the parties, the opening and closing night parties have open beer and wine bars. The other parties, we give you drink tickets, either 1 or 2 drink tickets. And you're with all the filmmakers, and you get to know them fast, too, if you go to everything. And then you just kind of show up. You can either register online ahead of time to get your tickets, or you can show up at the door, and if there's tickets left, some of the venues are smaller and some of them are larger, so the larger ones usually have a few seats left, but the smaller ones do get sold out quicker. And so you either get a VIP pass or just a movie pass. If you want the movie pass, that just gets you into all the films. If you want the VIP pass, that includes the parties with all the booze. and the stars.
Yes, yes. And then, like I said, most people do go from film to film to film. Some people will see like 3 to 4 films in one day. Some people will just see 2. But it's just kind of an experience. You're kind of just involved and just kind of swallowed up into this festival, and so you kind of just go from one to one, and it's a really fun experience because you're talking to other theater film goers and seeing what they felt about it, and it's just I think everyone just loves that about that. It's a really community feeling oriented type of experience.
Why should someone go to the movies and watch a movie with a bunch of strangers versus stay at home and watch something on Netflix?
That's another thing I was thinking about the other day, and that's what I just remembered. So we're creating an experience with the film festival that nobody in the world is able to experience, but all these people have this connection together, that they are having this one-on-one, and they're all like seeing films and they're all talking about it, and nobody else in the world is having the same experience anywhere else. Same thing happens when you're in a cinema watching a film. These like 100 people or 140 or 150 people are all in this shared experience that nobody in the world is feeling or getting to have. And I think that's a really important thing to have in your life, because not only does it make you feel special, but it makes you feel part of being a human being. When you're secluded in your home and you're not having any human interaction, there's no connection to human beings and humanity. And I think it kind of hardens us and doesn't make us empathetic or sympathetic people. And I think it's really important to always have human connection. And I remember when COVID hit, people were talking about that, well, will you just stay virtual? And I said, no, I'll never stay virtual, because I think human interaction is the most important thing in life, and it's been around for millions of years. I mean, even, prehistoric times, you had little communities, and that's, as human beings, that's what we really truly need and want.
Yeah, so it's just like it's a community building thing, and you get to meet people, and like you said, there's nothing else happening in the world except for in that dark room.
Right, at that given moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool. I love it.
Where are some of the venues? You're at the Minaret Cinemas?
I'm actually not.
You're not?
So not this year. Sometimes I will have a few screenings there, but it's blockbuster weekend. So usually like the Marvel films come out that weekend. So we can't usually use their primetime slots. But I use the U.S. Forest Service, which has this really cool minor feeling, and the filmmakers love it. They always come in and they're like, wow, this is really cool. It has like kind of a 70s minor vibe, and it has all that old equipment on the walls. And then I have a pop-up venue this year. Usually we use the Edison Theater, but that's being renovated into a 250-seat theater, which I'm very happy and supportive about. But now I have to find another space to do my other screenings. So we're creating a pop-up venue at the Sierra Center Mall. It's called the Sierra Center Screening Room and Lounge. And it's on the 2nd floor, and we're kind of taking over this big event space, and we're kind of partitioning it off so that there's a party area and then a screening area, and it's going to be more of the funky like vibes. It's going to feel more coffee house like in the screening room, but and that's a smaller one that only gets 40 people, so that's the one that'll sell out more. But but the U.S. Forest Service, depending on the film, I think the opening night will probably sell out. So if you want to think about coming to that one, get your tickets fast to that one.
Okay, got it. And so people get their tickets on MammothLakesFilmFestival.com.
Yep.
Anything else people should know about the festival?
I think it's important, first of all, to support the arts. I mean, if you think about the world without the arts, think about the world without Van Gogh and Monet and all the great artists in the world, how it's changed our lives and inspired us to think in different ways. And I think it's really important to support those people that create that for us. It's really a gift, and it's not owed to us. We get it as a gift. So I think it's important to give back and support them. And so come out, get tickets, get passes, and just come out and meet the filmmakers. I mean, they're literally from all around the world. And we've got a ton of New York ones coming from the middle of America. I mean, people are coming from all over Canada. We have a few coming from Canada. It's really a great experience.
Do you have a couple films that you're most excited about?
Well, of course, the opening night film is really exciting to me. We also have... I mean, some of the documentaries are just so cool. We have this really great narrative feature called all I've got and then some. And it's really funny. It's about this stand-up comedian in LA trying to make his life work. And I just remember seeing like 30 seconds of it, and I was like laughing hysterically. I'm like, wow, if I could see 30 seconds and be laughing that hard, like the whole film's going to be good. And it really is good. And those guys are all coming to the festival. So definitely, and the shorts, I love the shorts. Our festival, like I said, we have so many discoveries in our short film makers that they go on to much bigger and better things. And so those are always wild to see, and they're so much fun because you get to hear the Q&A and see what is behind that crazy, mad, mind of theirs. So those are really the exciting parts for me.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah,
I can't wait. And lastly, for the filmmakers out there, do they just submit their stuff online?
Yeah, so we'll be opening submissions in July, and we go until the beginning of March is when our last deadline is. And they usually submit on Film Freeway. There's a platform that they can, and if you're a filmmaker, you know about Film Freeway. We also have Short Film Depot and Fest Home, which is more of the European filmmakers use. But Film Freeway, we're on there, and we love to watch your films. I'm very involved in watching the films. Like last year, I watched 1,500 films. So we always try to be involved in the screening process because we don't want anything to fall through the cracks. So, yeah.
That sounds amazing. Well, get your tickets before they run out. And again, MammothLakesFilmFestival.com. And Shira, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.